Everybody, Merry Christmas from Tom and I. Now, Tom couldn't be here. He's not feeling well, and he asked that you pray for him and that he can feel better as Christmas draws in closer. Now, as you listen to this, it is Christmas, and so we hope and pray that you have a Merry Christmas. And another thing we wanted to let you know is that we're going to take a couple of weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and we will be back first of the year to kick off 2026. So before I end, though, I just wanted to share something with you that I thought was pretty cool. And so I'm going to read Luke chapter 2, verses 6 and 7 out of the New Living Translation, and then I'll tell you a little bit about why I wanted to read this. So Luke 2, 6 and 7. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him snugly in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no lodging available for them. Now, anybody who, has been around, grew up in the church or in Christianity over the last 20, 30 years, the last verse probably sounded a little bit different to you. And you used to wrap him and swaddle him in cloth in a manger because there was no room in the inn. And that's what we're used to hearing and reading in the Bible. Now, I commend the New Living Translation because this is one of those areas where they actually get it right, I believe. And it says that there's no lodging available for them. So the Greek word here is katalma, and it doesn't mean inn as you and I would think inn. So I always pictured this story, this part of scripture as like, when you're driving down a highway, and you see like the little strip motel. It's got like 8 or 10 rooms in it, and there's that sign out front that is dim and hardly working at all, and half the letters aren't working, and then there's a barn out back. That's what I picture in my Western 21st century mind. As I picture that little as my parents would call it, a Rojo motel on the side of the road, and a barn out back. And unfortunately, that's not what it is. And we've always kind of interpreted it that way, that there's no room in the inn. We think of inn as like a hotel or a lodging place. And it really, that's not what it was. So back in the first century, it was very, very common for a house, a normal house like you and I live in, to be kind of a 2-story style house where the family would live upstairs, and then downstairs, and what you might think the first floor, maybe the basement, is where the animals would live. That would keep them away from danger, out of the cold and the elements. And that was the common house back in the day. And so, we know that there's a census going on, and so there's a lot of people coming into town. And we know that Joseph's from that area. That's why they're going back there. He has to go back to do the census. And, the text doesn't say this, so this is just me thinking it through and interpreting it and just, speaking out loud. They could have been at a family's house. It doesn't say that in the text, but there could have been somebody that they knew or family, and there's no room because everybody's in town, and Mary and Joseph get there, and the only place for them to stay is down under in the manger area where the animals stay. Now, again, that's not in the text, but it just makes you wonder. Now, it was also common to have houses like this that were almost like a inn or motel, not really, kind of a common place that you could stay on your long journeys, and the animals would stay underneath and people would stay up in the room above. And there wasn't room. And so however you want to interpret that, there wasn't room. And so the reason why I think this is important is that when you look at the original language and you see that the actual translation isn't inn like we would think of an inn or a motel, but it's rather a home. It kind of brings this idea of the humanity of Jesus, that he came and that he was born not stranded and left out to survive with his family, but they were, just at the lowest place of the house. And that just goes on par with who Jesus was, and what he represented is that he came for the lowest of low, and he came in through the lowest of low places in culture at the time. And so it's just amazing how our God works. And I absolutely love reading and studying in this way. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope and pray that you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and enjoy time with family. We will see you guys in 2026.